All right, let's go, Dragon Masters. That's the game I am going to be talking about and promoting for now on. That's right, no more DFK. I'm just kidding. I played that because I just needed a little more time to set up. I forget how all this shit works. So, I do have a lot to cover today. I know my title might be a little clickbaity, but it's pretty close to accurate about how I feel right now. So, let's see, who do we got in here in chat? Looks like Megan Dag stopped in earlier. Looks like we have MD and King in the house. How you guys doing? Love to see you here. You guys getting excited to start the new manager program we got going on in Dragon Masters? Been working on that most of the day today, so hopefully we can get shit working right. So let's get into what I want to talk about. So first off, I want to start off with something that has been bugging me. I want to say for at least a year and a half that I keep hearing from the community. So one thing I keep hearing is DFK is not a Web3 or not a AAA game. And that's always bothered me because, you know, I know as of right now, they still got a long ways to go and a lot more building before they become what they want to become. But every time I hear people talking about it, the way I feel they're presenting it is it's as if it's not a Web3 game and it'll never be a Web3 or a AAA game. It's definitely a Web3 game, but a AAA game. So I decided, well, maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and I better go look up and see what a AAA game is considered and what makes a AAA game a AAA game. So I went and talked to my good buddy over there at Grok, and he came up with this. I don't know how well you guys can read that. Let's see here. Is there any way to make this full screen? Never tried to do any of that. But anyways, Grok says a AAA game is defined by its high productivity value, large development budget, and extensive marketing campaign, typically produced by major publishers or studios. Key characteristics include, okay, so now here's what I guess they're rating it on. High budget. And here it says tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Well, not sure about hundreds, but I see by time they're done, probably tens of millions spent in developing it. So that's kind of iffy. We can go one way or the other. Top tier production quality. They feature cutting edge visual, complex gameplay mechanics, extensive worlds, polished user experience, often leveraging the latest technology. Well, they definitely got the leveraging the latest technology down. That's a definite. Complex gameplay, they definitely got that down. Extensive world, they're working on it, but I definitely think they'll get to that. Now, cutting edge visuals, that's kind of, you got to make your own decision on that. I'm not a huge fan of the pixel art, but a lot of people really love it. So I would say that category they definitely fit into. The next one, large development team. Hundreds of developers, including artists, programmers, designers, writers, over collaborate over several years. Well, hundreds we don't want to fit that in there, but they do have all those different categories, just not in the hundreds. So, maybe not. Massive marketing. Well, they definitely don't have that, no matter how you want to look at it. Broad appeal, designed to attract a wide audience, often prioritizing accessibility in mainstream genres like action, adventure, and shooters. I think action fits there. I think polarizing is definitely there. genres, it's got, you know, it's in there. And then high scale or high sales expectations. Well, I think they're going to meet the high sales expectations at some point in time. They got a ways to go, but I think they'll get there. So, with that said, some of the categories they don't quite meet there. But I put into a few others and I tried looking up some other things on how I could really rate a lot of it. But maybe the best response I got out of what I inputted everywhere in the different AIs is maybe Web3 deserves its own standards of excellence. So I like that one. So I'm going to say maybe not right now, but I do believe in the future, after it's developed out, it will be what I would consider a AAA game. So I know even I have probably said it in the past that DFK is not a AAA game, but I think what they're doing and what they're building, at some point, it will be a AAA game. So that's just something that's been bugging me for quite a while, is hearing people say that. So if you guys feel different in the comments, or you think I'm missing something, feel free to let me know. I know it didn't mark all the boxes, but I think it marked enough of them to where I feel confident I would be willing to call it a AAA game when it's complete. So with that said, let's move on to the next part. Okay, so the tournament. I have not broadcast about the tournaments or given my opinion or any of that since they rolled them out. So I do want to talk about that. Now, this video is not going to be all about me bashing the tournaments, even though I really could spend a lot of time talking a lot of negativity on it. It's more the way I feel DFK is going is really frustrating me, and the release of the tournaments and how they built them out really concerns me about the future of DFK. So, wait, what happened there? That's kind of goofy looking. All right, so let's talk about the tournaments and how I feel and how everything came out. So, why does that got a notification? Oh, so what are my concerns about the tournaments as they are? So let's start off by my initial response when they first released the tournaments. So I saw them come out and I read them and I dug all into it. And I really didn't get it. I was rather pissed off. Probably said quite a few swear words, this, that, and the other. And then I had to really step back and really reevaluate everything and think about it really hard. And I guess before we really talk about tournaments, let's talk about me and PvP. Most people that know me understand I don't play PvP. It's not my stick. That's really something I like or will probably ever really get too involved with. So for me to talk bad about PvP might seem strange. But the reason to me why I feel PvP is so important is more without PvP, in my opinion, the entire ecosystem is not there. Without PvP, all the mats that we craft, all the stuff that we do will really have no purpose. Now, I know a lot of people are saying with PvE, you can still use all that stuff and you'll need all that stuff to play PvE. But there is a difference, and let me explain. So with PvE, crafting, and all other aspects of the game, it doesn't really boost a lot. You know, all the money that's in the game is spent by us, the players. Now you mix PvP in there and tournaments in there, now you can involve outside sponsors and stuff like that. So through advertising through the tournaments, that can introduce more money into the overall economy of the game outside of just players. Now, I understand a lot of people that are going to win the big prizes, they're going to take the money out. But a lot of the people that win those smaller prizes stand a good chance of them reinvesting that money back into the game's ecosystem. And when those players introduce that money back into the ecosystem, it's going to be buying either the weapons that we farm from playing PvE, the weapons that we craft, the potions that we craft. All that stuff is going to spread that money across the entire ecosystem, and which will really help a lot of players. Well, I can't get that light to quit shining off my head, so sorry, I got a bright head. So with that said, that's one of the main reasons why I really feel that the PvP system has to hit home and has to do a good job. It really has to hammer down. Now, I understand they've just started, so you know, I don't know. We'll get into what I'm thinking right now a little bit later. I'm holding back. I'm biting my tongue. So, my overall opinion and impression on the PvP system, the tournament system that they built out. Now, like I said, at first I hated it. I thought it was absolute garbage. It made no sense to me. So I had to step back, clear my mind, and try to look at it and try and see their vision and what they were trying to make. What were they trying to do? And everything in my head kept coming back to they're looking for that esport experience. And I don't know if it was the team or the community that kept talking about that, but that just kept coming back in my head. And then that's when I came back and I looked at it and I'm like, you know, the way this is set up, you know, with the different stages, you know, you got the weekend warrior, you got the skirmishes and all the different things, you know, it really builds the hype up to where I could see in the future this be a game that you see. I'm not quite saying televised, but you know, I see these tournaments being at that level to where people might want to televise them. It really could. I think I see their vision now. You know, I really wish when they release things that they would kind of share their vision or the direction they're going with it or the reasons behind why they made the decisions more than just this is what's going on and hopefully we get it. So, King, what are you saying here? Hopefully they make this a pointers. I hope so, but by the responses I've gotten to them, DMing them lately, I don't think they'd pay any attention to me. MD, what'd you say here? You spend a lot of resources in DFK. Yeah, I do, and we'll actually cover. That's a talking point I want to talk about here in a little bit. So, I really like the overall design of the tournaments. Is where I run into the problem, and let me get out my outline here and make sure I'm following things right. Things I like. I put it doesn't feel like a clone like every other Web3 project. And then the esports still concerns the vision behind it. Oh yeah, I talked about that. Is it deeply thought out or just what they could build in time? Okay, so that's a good talking point. So, you know, for a lot of us that have been around DeFi Kingdoms for a long time, when DeFi Kingdoms releases something, it's a lot more refined than I see what they did with the tournament system. Now, do I think it's a good product? And do I think it's built correct? And do I like their originality and all that stuff that they got going into it? I do. But it just doesn't feel like DeFi Kingdoms to me. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people. Now, I know they got the pledging, the voting, and all that stuff. You know, all that fits right in the DeFi Kingdoms realm. Being original, that fits in the DeFi Kingdoms realm. But that's a bunch of larger items that were built, but they weren't built at the depth that I'm used to seeing from DeFi Kingdoms. You know, the fact that they didn't have, you know, the different filters for different equipment and stuff like that, that stuff normally I would see DeFi Kingdoms having built in right away, right off the bat upon release. So that's just kind of a passive thought. That doesn't really concern me. It's not like they can't do all that and build all that out in the future and continue to do things to make things better. I have a lot of confidence that they will. Just, I love for someone to disagree with me, but I just don't see, it just doesn't feel like DFK quality to me that they had to deal with. So I don't know. So let's get back to my outline here. Looks like we got no new comments. Says we got 14 people watching. Nobody's talking. Or are they over there playing that tournament? I thought neither of those got filled up. Let's check it here. Did they get filled up? No, neither of them filled up. I was a little worried about that. I was kind of worried that, well, it looks like the Revengers, it's got 3 in it now for the one that starts at 10. So still got some people thinking about it. So, all right, let's go back to my outline and see what else I got here. I just want to make sure I cover all these talking points, and I put them in a specific order to help me lead into the final. Okay, so the next is, so this is where I want to talk about DeFi Kingdoms and the direction that it really concerns me that they're going. And it's made it more clear to me that this is the direction they're going and not just me thinking it. You know, I'm starting to see a pattern here with the way they're building everything. So, is what I want to talk about is the addressable market. So, the addressable market meaning the market they can advertise to play the game. So, first off and foremost, let's get out of the way Web2 gamers. I don't think we're going to be drawing any Web2 gamers into DeFi Kingdoms anytime soon. Just my opinion, and based just on the Web2 gamers that I talk to, they're just not interested. You know, the number one comment or sentiment I get from them is that they just don't see the need for it. They think it adds too many layers on top of what's already there as far as the game goes. So it'll take some time. You know, maybe I'm just not a very good salesperson, so I'm not pushing it very well. But let's just eliminate, in my opinion, Web2 gamers from our addressable market. So what else do we have left? So what else is going to narrow down the addressable market? The next would be so right now is all we got is the Web3 gamers. that we can really get to onboard. And then next, let's talk about the whole mobile thing. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there playing on mobile, and they say they can play it just fine on mobile, and it seems to work fine. So I don't want to eliminate mobile users altogether, but being a browser-based game, it is a small deterrent. So that narrows the market a little bit more. So what else did I have on here before I get into the really big part? Okay. So now this part is the big part, and this is the part that hits home to me. So let's talk about the Web3 gamers, and let's address it as a worldwide situation. Now, a lot of the people that I deal with out there are from developing countries. I'd say probably 90% of the Web3 gamers that I talk to are from the Philippines. And when I say from the Philippines, I mean like the Dumaguete area, Valencia area, those type areas. I'm not talking Manila or Cebu. You might as well consider Manila and Cebu Western countries. But when you get outside of those major cities, they don't have the kind of funds that it requires to play DeFi Kingdoms. And that's the kind of comments that I get when I talk to a lot of these people, is they just can't afford to play DeFi Kingdoms. They're not necessarily saying they want to earn money. I think a lot of Web3 gamers have got it out of their head that it's play to earn. Most people I talk to understand it's not play to earn anymore. They would like to make money, but they understand they're not going to earn money like they used to. Not like when Axie first started. But when we're talking about every single part of the game involves some kind of fee, whether it's gas fees, entry fees, tournament fees, it all stacks up really fast to where it quickly becomes a game that they cannot afford to play. And this is where it really got to me, is the overall cost, and trying to talk a lot of people into playing the game. They just didn't see the value in it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It really depends on who you are and what you're trying to do. But with that aspect of it, that narrows our addressable market way, way down. And we're going to talk a lot more about cost here in a second. But once you increase, the more you increase how much it costs to play the game daily or weekly or monthly or however you're doing your budget, that's going to keep narrowing that market down more, and more and more. And so with these examples you see, we have really narrowed the market way down. Now, I was really hoping when I heard they were talking to YGG Gaming and those guys over there that they were going to pivot a little bit and change directions. Now, I have some thoughts on how we can reduce those costs, but let's not get into those yet. Let's go back to my outline and make sure I'm staying up with things. Okay, so let's talk. Let's add a little bit more onto that. The what do you call that? The play to earn versus gaming how we are now. So, you know, there are still a lot of people out there that are trying to pivot their minds from play to earn just to play to have fun. You know, if we could narrow that gap a little bit more, I think we would stand a lot better chance of being able to talk people into coming over to play DeFi Kingdoms. Now, I think I discussed that out a little bit. because I do want to address something, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. Now, if you are a good PvP player, you can make a good amount of money playing the PvP tournaments. Let's not say that you can't make money playing the tournaments, because you can. If you're a good player and you have the heroes and you have that initial investment to get started, you can make a decent amount of money playing the tournaments. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not saying that you can't make money in DFK at all. You can make money in DFK. There's a lot of different ways, but as a new player just starting, it'll take you quite a while to get to that point where you can start doing any of that. So, sorry, I had to backtrack there a little bit. I didn't want to make it seem like totally you weren't going to make any money. For me, that's not why I play DeFi Kingdoms. I don't play DeFi Kingdoms to make money. I play it because I really enjoy playing it. All right, so give me a second here. Okay, so that's done. All right, so let's talk about the tournament entry fees and why they're kind of pricey. So if you look at the patrollers, it's 50 cents to enter. For me, who cares? I can throw 50 cents in there. I don't care. Most people can afford to throw 50 cents in there. But that 50 cents will start to add up really quick to a lot of people. Hey, two noobs, how's it going? Speaking of you two noobs, I was all coming on here getting ready to show the leaderboard and say, God damn you, Kupo, because he had me beat for a long time, but somehow I snuck past him. I don't know how I did that, but I barely got him. By the way, I'm working on some different things for you there, two noobs, trying to get some more people using your product, people outside of Web3. But I'll get with you on that later. But anyways, let's get back to that 50 cent charge. 50 cents isn't bad, but it's still not attractive to a lot of players out there that are used to playing for free. It's not a free to play. 50 cents, although the majority of us that play DeFi Kingdoms now, we don't care 50 cents. And the other ones are $5. Who cares? $5, we'll throw $5 at it. You know, and then you get into the higher ones. It's the $200 entry fee. You know, that $200 entry fee, that's no big deal considering even if you're the first person to lose, you still get that 200 back. But you got to have that 200 to invest. You know, for a lot of these players overseas and stuff, that $200 is like asking us to put $10,000 down just to win it back. So it's kind of really hard, you know. I mean, if you don't have it, you just can't even play it, even if you know you're going to win it back. The same thing with the $5. A lot of people out there don't really have that $5 sitting around. So with that said, you know, even at the 50 cents, that's a lot of money to people. There needs to be a way for people to play the tournaments that they're still spending money, but they don't realize it because they're progressing into that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I did build out an entire proposal to the DFK team. And, you know, maybe here later on in the stream, we'll go through that and I'll show that to you and explain it all and what I think would really help the team. But, you know, like I said, it's the whole impression that no matter where you go or what you do in the game, there's a fee involved. And that's the biggest complaint I get from people when I talk about DFK is you have to pay for everything you do, whether it's gas or fees or whatnot. So I'm kind of rambling right now because I'm trying to catch up on my notes here to make sure I cover everything. All right, solution. Yeah. All right, so I covered all the different notes. So like I said, I'm not really pissed off, mad as hell. I'm more just really frustrated because the more and more they develop this game, the more and more I get the impression that they're heading towards a lot of fees adding up more and more and more. Yes, you're right there, MD, saying it happens to me. I have heroes, but I don't have fees to play. Yeah. So, I mean, even if you look at patrols are free, but that gas adds up really quick over there. So, when patrols first came out, oh, I just hit my freaking headset. That hurt my ear. When patrols first came out, I bought about $40 in metas to cover gas. Now, keep in mind, I probably have, I want to say 6,000 heroes pledged over there. So you can go through your gas pretty quick if you're collecting experience and all that right off the bat. But I was playing a lot of patrols. I was doing probably, I don't know, 3 sets at a time. I was doing about, I think I had 10 sets that I was playing. So what's that? 30 games a day. And then, I did waste a little bit of money collecting experience. But that $40, I think it was $40 I put in. It only lasted me like a week and a half in gas. So we just can't keep, I mean, people just can't go like that. They have to have a way to to recoup some of that gas. Now, I did get a lot of money out of my staking, which keeps going down more and more every day, which is cool. I kind of expected that. I knew that was going to happen. But, so I get a lot of that, and that does help me maintain my gas. But your average new player isn't going to have 6,000 heroes to stake just to help cover their gas fees. And plus, guys, I'm going to get off track here for a second, but I want to do a little bit of rant. And I kind of want to give a shout out to Zellies on this one because he's told me time and time again, he's probably told me 100 times, quit giving Clayton your money. Or, sorry, Kaya, quit giving Kaya all your money. And now we're all doing the same thing to Metis. It really didn't kick in until I started noticing that a lot of us, including myself at first, which I've changed my process a little bit, all my jewelry rewards, I was just selling off to buy more Metis. So that adds too much. That's giving DFK money to the Metis people, or I should say Hercules. But I've been playing around with that Hercules and those LPs and stuff. They're not too bad. I got to figure some of that out though, because I keep going out of range on some of them. But I'm actually making pretty decent money over there on Hercules on those LPs. So, anyways, let's get back on track. So, now it says I have 23 people watching, but I got 2 noobs, MD, and King are the only people that replied. So, I want to throw a question out there, and I really want to know what you guys think. So, right now we're coming up on 40 minutes. Now, I built out an entire proposal and sent it over to a couple of the team members over there at DFK on what I think could be done to really help draw in new players using the tournament system. So, would you guys like me to go through that and share with you on how it works and what you guys think. And I did get some feedback from a few different community members that I shared it with. A little bit of positive, a little bit of negative. You know, I don't want to say a whole lot about the people that gave me feedback in a negative light, but they're people that are closer to me, that fit more. Their gaming budget's probably as the same as mine, if not a little bit more. See, I don't mind putting money into the game. What I spend on the game, and I do just about whatever the hell I want when I want within DeFi Kingdoms. Now, I had to back off a little bit because of some other issues I had, but I should be back up and running financially here in the next few weeks. But I spend a good $100 to $200 a month on DeFi Kingdoms, and I do pretty much whatever I want inside the game. Now, I don't go and buy Gen Zeros, and I don't go buy those $1,000 pieces of equipment. That stuff just kind of doesn't really interest me. But that's the money I spend, and I'm managing. I think I just went over 12,000 heroes. So I can manage 12,000 heroes on a couple $100 a month. And that's well within my entertainment budget. So with that said, you know, my budget's a lot different than a lot of people else's budgets. And the people that I got feedback from probably have similar or not better budgets. So they don't really see the situation that I'm seeing and having to talk to people about. So let me check to see what else I have to cover here. And if you guys want me to cover that proposal that I sent over to the team, let me know and I will. And if not, I probably should put a link to it in the description below, just so you guys can look it over if you want. So I'm just going to go back through this. Yeah, I covered all the topics. So, all right. Well, doesn't look like many people really want me to talk about it. It says we got 24 people in here, but nobody's talking. Let me check, see what's going on here. So, everything looks good. All right. Can you all hear me fine and everything? Everything's working? Should be working. All right. Well, MD says talk about it. I know MD and King really want to play DeFi Kingdoms. They really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it's really hard for me because I don't want to just keep shelling out money for them to play. I mean, that sounds kind of bad, but it's just really not in my budget to do it like that. So let me open this up. Oh, shoot, I lost it. Oh, you know what? I can get the link real easy this way. I'll just go and steal it from King. I sent the link to King earlier today, so should still be in our chat here somewhere. That was kind of funny. All right, let's see here. How well does that come across, guys? Can you see that well? All right. So looks good. All right. So now one thing to think about, the reason I did this was more for drawing in new players and to incentivize people to play the game. So we're not going to go over a lot of this stuff. This is just all sales pitch stuff. But here's the main thing that I think will draw players. So first things first, let's get into what the actual tournaments would look like. Why is that coming up like that? Oh, it doesn't just automatically switch. Boy, I suck at this stuff. So this would be the way it starts out. So if you first started playing the game, you would start out by playing patrols. So when you play patrols, you would have, I'm calling them entry tokens. Maybe they could come up with a better name. You know, DeFi Kingdoms, they're pretty good at that, coming up with different names. But basically, those would drop from there. So I figure roughly about a 25% drop rate. So if you played a total of 8 tournaments or 8 patrols, sets of patrols, you would get 2 entry tokens. And that's what it costs you to start playing, is 2 entry tokens and 1,000 gold. Now, out of 8 games, roughly what I've been noticing, 8 games will give you about 2,000 gold. So you get your 2 entry tokens and 1,000 gold and 1,000 left over for playing 8 patrols. Now that 1,000 leftover gold, that can be used to save up to buy vendor gear if needed. So now, if you're a new player, you get into playing, first thing you're going to do is probably play patrols. If you're a combat type player and you're looking to start playing PvP. So you're going to come in, you're going to play patrols. After you get 8 patrols, you're going to get these things called entry tokens. You're going to ask, hey, what are these entry tokens for? They're going to say, well, that's so you can enter tournaments. So after 8 games, now you can play a level 1, tier 1 tournament. So you spent the gas to play those tournaments, and you spent the money buying the heroes. So it's not free to play, but yet you get the sense that it's free to play because you earned your entry without actually spending any money out of pocket. So does that make sense? Do you see how that's more enticing than just coming in and saying 50 cents and you can play a tournament? So now let's get into the overall of this. So that's how you get into your first tier 1 tournament. Oh, So the rewards, if you get first place, you get 2,000 gold, you get 10 entry tokens, a common level 3 chest, and 4 participation points. So these participation points, remember that for later. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then second place, you get 1,000 gold, 5 entry tokens, and 2 participation points. Well, that's actually supposed to only be 2 entry tokens. But anyways, we'll edit that sometime later. So basically second place, or no, it is 5. That's right. So first, second, and third place, your earnings should be what it costs to get into the second tier. And then fourth and eighth place, you get 1 entry token and 1 participation point. So pay attention to these participation points. So first, second, and third, with their winnings, they automatically got what they need to now enter into the next tier, which is tier 2. Got to get it up here. So then tier 2, it's basically your winnings is double what tier 1 was. So 4,000 gold, 10 entry tokens. But see, the cool part about this is each one of these tiers, all the entry fees cover all the expenses and the winnings from the game. Plus, it leaves a little left over for burning and to give to the team to help support the team. So if you look here, 3% to overhead, so that would go to the team to cover, expenses, this, that, and the other. And a lot of these numbers you see on here is based off of 100 players playing 3 brackets a day. I don't think that's a hard goal to achieve. 100 players only playing 3 brackets a day. Now, I know you're saying we can't even fill the brackets we got going now. I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But as you see, all level tiers, there are going to actually, I don't want to say they're going to be making a lot of money. This is pennies in the bucket compared to what their overall expenses are. But at the same point, it's not going to cost them anything out of pocket to cover these tournaments. So we don't need sponsors or none of that. And then here's the real nice one. This is when you get up to tier 3. This is where you actually have to pay out of pocket. It's 4 USDC out of pocket. And this is where sponsorships could come into place. And I got a whole different thing in here. If you guys want to really dig into this, where it covers the ads and how they'll be placed and all that stuff and how much they cost and everything. Everything's really low budget and they're not going to make a lot of money off of this, but it will be profitable. But the biggest thing is it's not out of pocket and they don't have to rely on other people covering the expenses. So this is this part. So you get first place gets 0.4 USDC, not big winnings, but that's what you get. It's 0.4. It costs 0.1 to enter, right? The entry cost was 0.1, 10 entry tokens. So it's double what the last one was. So it doubles every time it goes up. And then, then they have their collections. Based off of a month, this could be 1,800 USD in their, no, I think it's $60 in their pockets. Yeah, $60 over a month. Not a big deal, not shit, but that's based on only 100 players playing. Now, that could go up. Let's say we make it 1,000 players. Now it's what, 600 a month? Okay, let's not go into math here. So anyways, as you see, that can scale up and end up becoming quite a bit of money. But here's where everything gets really exciting. Let's open this up. And this is where I think the big draw would be. Damn you. Is the monthly participation award rewards. Come on, hurry up, pick all this shit up. My internet's sucking. Yeah, it looks like my internet's sucking. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask questions as I go through this. Oh, I quit sharing. Oh, that's because I closed everything. All right, there we go. All right, now how does that look? Yeah. So here's where I think the big draw would be. So this monthly participation reward overview. Now, this is not where you will win by being the best player. This is where you will win by being the most participant, by participating the most. So even though if you get first place, you get a lot more participation points than if you get last place. The last place player can play 10 games and the first place player can only play one, or will only play one game. Not guaranteed that'll happen. But if they play one game at tier 1, get the winnings and go to tier 2, now they're not playing as many in tier 1, so now they moved up to tier 2 because they want the higher rewards. And as you see in here, these participation rewards go up quite a bit the higher tiers you go. So, all right. So this is how this looks. So tier 1 for level 4. Now I'm thinking once you go up from level 5 to level 5 to 9, all these things will go up in value. But the entry fees will also go up. But if you get first place at tier 1, you get 50% of gold, which should equal roughly 16 million gold, which at the time of making this, that was approximately $21. Then you get 100 entry tokens. And these entry tokens are tradable. And I also would like to see them put game chests in their games where they can buy the chest with the tokens. That helps keep the inflation from going too crazy. Second place is 8 million gold, which is roughly about $10. And then third gets 10%. And then as you see on here, all the way down to 10th place, it goes down to where it's only like 40 cents or whatever. But I see this expanding. Like if you're familiar with Axie Classic, the old system they had, where basically the top 50% of players won awards at the end of each season, I see this could expand out like that. I only went up to 50th place because, like I said, I based all this upon 100 players playing. So 100 players would be 50 places. So, and then that's for tier 1, which is not great, but that's the beginner's strategy. That $21 will help you cover your fees for playing patrols, help cover your gas and different stuff like that. Now, not everybody can win. Some people have to lose, okay? I'm sorry. It's life. Some people have to lose. So, tier 2, same thing, but everything's going to go quite up. I didn't do the math there. Tier 3, here we go. This is the one I kind of focused on. So first place can earn close to $900. Second place will be close to $450. Third place, $180. Then $90, then $18. And you see how that'll keep going down. Now this is tier 3. You have to be one of the better players to get in tier 3. And you have to play a lot of matches. So even if you suck and you grind the crap out of patrols to get those entry tokens and that gold, or if you go buy the entry tokens and the gold, however that works out to however you do it, and then you want to pay that 10 cents to enter, I think by the end of the month, if you grind it too hard, what you're going to spend on playing is going to be more than you're going to win. So there's no point in doing a lot of messing around. You need to just stick to the bracket that you should stay in and do it. But that's not saying you can't grind tier 3 and run a good chance of getting these higher rewards. And all these rewards are based off of the money earned in the game. So none of this money is coming out of the team's pocket. So now that brings me to how this would play out, because as you guys know, a lot of these tournaments people are not, they're not filling. A lot of these tournaments just are not filling. Like, did that Revengers tournament fill up? Let's check it out. Yeah, it looks like the Revengers tournament did fill up. So good job. So Revengers tournament did fill up. But, that's a lot of the thing is, they're just not filling. Well, with all these things self-funded, where all the rewards are covered by the entry fees, they no longer have to worry about them not filling up. I say just set it up on a system, a lot like they did with duels, or a lot like in other games. Once a bracket fills up, set it to 8 players. Once it fills up, open up another one. If that one doesn't fill up within an hour, shut it down and start a new one. It no longer matters if they don't fill. So this could just run 24/7. And as long as you have 8 people willing to play, these can run as often as they want. You don't have to wait for people to play. Or you have to wait for people to play. But you don't have to wait for certain time frames and stuff like that. They can just run nonstop 24/7. So this is a system I would like to see the team implement. And if you look at this, within this whole system, I set up a whole schedule for release and how it would work best to release it and everything. So anyways, that's what I have there. I am going to copy this link, and this is read only. So if anyone wants to see this, you can go over to the GMA Guild, and then I will just paste this into Guild chat, into general chat. So if anyone wants to take time, look through that and see all the different details, it's there for you. But that didn't paste very good. Is my internet sucking ass? How am I sounding, guys? Am I coming across okay? It says I got good internet. But it also says we have 23 people in here, and I don't see no chit chat. Nobody's talking, except for MD. He's talking a lot about it. Oh, Dags, you got a long ways to catch up, man. How you doing, Dags? I haven't seen you around for a while. I've seen you in a couple of the tournaments. That was kind of cool to see you. So, yeah, so that kind of covers that. And that's what I think they need to have. 58 minutes. Yeah, did you get in that tournament that's going on right now? I take it you didn't get in there since you're here. I don't see you in there. Mega's in there. I'm glad the Revengers filled up. I was kind of worried none of them were going to fill up for that. So, yeah, and probably next week I'll talk more about the hosted tournaments because I got a lot to talk about with that. Right now, to be honest with you, I'm not too excited about it. I'm not going to say I hate it, but I really think they could have did that a lot different also. Again, I think a lot of it is they didn't have the normal time that they have to really think things through, considering it was rushed. And now I'm just putting words in their mouth. So, what I'm is not necessarily their full opinion or what they're saying, but I don't think they were anywhere near ready to start building out PvP when the offer was made to start building out PvP. I think they were planning on getting a lot more PvE in place before they worried about PvP. So, they didn't really have a whole lot on their mind as far as PvP went. And then they got the offer. So Now, again, I really like the structure they built. I love it. I just don't think it just doesn't feel DFK to me. But that's just me. And I'm so excited to see what else they come up with. And also keep in mind what I built out there in my proposal. This is not something I would say stop working on what you're working on to build. Let's get some more of the stuff that they have on the roadmap done and ready. Give me a second. Truck's getting ready to fire off. So keep that in mind. So anybody got any questions about anything, what's going on in DFK, what's going on in Zan's Meta Army, anything like that, feel free to ask. Now's the time. I think I'm going to wrap this up here in about 5-10 minutes. So let me know. And MD, get with me in a couple days. I will probably have your team ready by then. They're on cooldown still. And once they're on cooldown, I got to send them to the new wallet and everything like that. So keep in contact. I am working on that and building all that out so you can start working. I'm also building King a wallet too so he can start doing it. Right now, it's just organizing everything. You know, I got to pull everything back out of the game onto the blockchain and then send it over to the right wallet. Get you guys all new accounts set up. It's becoming a lot more work than I thought, but I think it'll be worth it once we get it all up and going. So right now, MD, the next move for the guild is to get you two set up on those manager wallets for Dragon Masters. As far as DFK goes, I'm still looking at some thoughts and some ideas. See if I got money to do some of the things I want to do. You know, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm so frustrated with this whole structure that I'm stuttering now. The structure they built and the more fees on top of fees and more the direction they're going is because I got really excited when I started thinking about the tournament system. I actually bred, I don't remember where it was, but it was 500-600 decent Codex heroes that I was going to start to give away weekly within the guild for you guys to start building your own wallets and your own teams and start playing. But once they released it and I saw the $5 fees and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah. I send them these, they win these heroes, they're just going to sell them. They're not even going to play them. Just my thought. Consider me wrong, but I don't see DeFi Kingdoms growing at all without coming up with some kind of system like I'm proposing that'll make it feel like they can start playing for free, if not next to nothing. You know, I just think if it was just gas that they had to cover, it would make the game a lot more sellable to a much larger market. So, with that said, basically the next steps with the guild right now is work on Dragon Masters. You know, at least there's a lot of stuff to do in there. At least we can play without losing a whole bunch of money and all that. You know, I do want to start looking a lot more into Axie Infinity. I know King was playing around with that quite a bit lately. You know, really need to find someone that really understands Axie and what's all going on over there. Maybe start building that out a little bit more. But for right now, main focus is just Dragon Masters. So, any other questions, King, MD? Yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions for me as far as within the guild goes, feel free to reach out to me. Always there to listen. So, all right. Well, with all that said, I think we are going to end it here. Hope you all have a wonderful evening or day, depending on what part of the world it's in. And thanks for showing up. Y'all have a great rest of the day.